USC Coliseum Chronicles live. Terrence Holton joined alongside Casey Kasliner. And Casey, we got to talk about the Oregon game. We're going to talk UCLA. We're going to talk about season expectations. We're going to talk about some of the off the field stuff that unfortunately went down with USC and the football team this past weekend. But Casey, let's talk a little bit about that Oregon game first. Let's talk the good. Let's talk the bad. Let's start off with the good. What do you think USC did do well? We're jumping straight in. No introduction. No, how are you doing? We're jumping straight in. What do you think USC did well against Oregon?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that, and I was there at Austin Stadium for those who are wondering, and it was a great atmosphere. I think the biggest thing that really stood out to me, on a good note for USC is they came out quick. They scored on their first drive, they punted on their second drive, and then scored on their third drive. I mean, scoring on two of your first three drives on the road at a hostile environment against, one of the top teams in the country isn't easy to do. And that's what kept them in the game in the first half. Now, they did fall by the wayside after that, and there were some bad penalties and stuff. But I also want to shout out a guy who, has gotten love here and there this season, but a guy I think deserves more respect, Tanook Hines. I mean, he had a great game.
Freaking same thing.
Had an incredible touchdown catch from Makai Lemon, which is crazy, him throwing it to him. So those are my two biggest takeaways. But again, it was just a rough game defensively and a lot of things that I'm sure we'll talk about. How about you though?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same stuff. Tanook Hines is by far was the highlight of the game. It just kind of looked at it because I saw a lot of national attention talking about it too. It's like, wow, USC's got another one. Like we knew Tanook Hines has been great. It's why he's a true freshman who's getting those wide receiver 3 snaps. He showed that he is going to be that guy in the future, though. This game against a good Oregon team, he was phenomenal. He was great at high pointing the ball. His run after the catch was great. He was fantastic. I'm trying to think of the other things that went well. Just the receiver play in general, I thought was great. Makai Lemon had 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Lane didn't have one, but had over 100 yards. It was overall a phenomenal game from the receivers going against what was supposed to be supposedly the number 1 passing defense in the country. We knew it wasn't. We knew that Oregon didn't actually have the best passing defense in the country if you had seen who they played against. But, they had 300 total yards passing with Mayava, plus I want to say 60 from pass interferences. Were there 4 pass interferences called? Something like that?
There was over 100 penalty yards. That's all.
A lot of forcing a lot of penalties. One thing really quickly though, I'm going to post it in the comments. Makai Lemon, go vote Makai Lemon, the Fan Bolitnikoff Award. Everyone go vote for Makai Lemon. He's just barely behind Jeremiah Smith now. He's shot up the board, thank goodness, from where he was at, but he's a finalist. Go vote for him in the fan vote. Just got to have that going. So I'd wanted to post that. But Casey, I got to take a breath. What was the bad things that happened there? What can you say about that Oregon team? What can you say went wrong for USC? All of that stuff. And everyone who's watching, feel free to let us know what you think they did well, what they think they did bad as well.
I mean, where do I even start? I hate to say it like that, but I mean, special teams play all around was atrocious. I mean, the missed field goal, the penalty on the Oregon missed field goal, the punt return by Malik Benson for 85 yards for a touchdown. I mean, you can just point one thing after another, and it felt like it was not only discipline, but it was just not being able. It was lackadaisical special teams play. It was fireable, I think, from a special teams coordinator standpoint. Will that actually happen? Probably not. No. But I thought it was ridiculously bad. And then also just the defense in general, giving up 104. I mean, Noah Whittington's one of the best running backs in the nation, but 104 yards from him. Davison had 50 and a touchdown. You just can't let that happen. And then, I mean, passing wise, Oregon wasn't out passing USC, but Kenyon Sadiq felt like he was always open and he's so good. But, to allow a guy like that to take over the game. And I didn't think Jane Mayava was that great this game. Played one of his first games at USC.
Casey, I'll just say it before I address those other things. I thought Jane Mayava was bad. I thought he was playing with fire a lot of times on lots of throws he made. And then it finally started burning him. And it felt like he didn't learn his lesson at all. He just kept getting burned, and that was kind of brutal. I'm not going to lie. And I think the receivers very much made him look good lots of times. He had a couple good throws. There were times he missed people. There was times he was throwing into double coverage for no reason. It was just errant mistakes that Mayava just wasn't that good. I'm not going to be one of those guys who's going to be like Mayava out. Like he stinks. That's ridiculous. That was a bad game. That was a really bad game.
I also felt like USC defensively didn't bring a lot of pressure to Dante Moore. I felt like it was pretty much a clean pocket most of the time, and they didn't have a single sack. They had one tackle for loss or two tackles for loss as a team. USC did, but shout out Kennedy Urlacher. He's a guy we didn't bring up yet.
I
He was
forgot to say
everywhere.
it was a positive.
He was when USC needed him most. Like no Bishop Fitzgerald or Kamari Ramsey. I mean, as soon as I learned that those guys wouldn't play, I'll be honest, I knew it was not going to be a game for USC to win. You don't have two, in a secondary room that already isn't the top of the Big Ten.
Not great. Let's just say it's not that good.
Yeah, it's not that good. And then you lose your two safeties, and I mean that puts a lot of weight on Pierce and Urlacher. And Urlacher's young, and he hasn't played that much this year. And he had a pick. He had a bunch of tackles. Tackles. So that's 8 solo tackles, 9 total. I thought Desmond Stevens, besides the dumb penalty he had, was good too.
He was very good. He had 17 tackles and that tackle for loss. He was good.
Yeah, but that leaping call, I mean, whether or not it's a right call or not, I mean, we've already seen them get called for that this year. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. One of the things I want to point out, we were talking about just the overall USC not being a very strong team, a physically not very strong team. We saw versus Iowa, they helped over push them, but first half was bad. Michigan, they were great against Notre Dame and Illinois, though they were out muscled. And Casey, we can talk about this in a little bit later, but something that fired the Ducks up was those game notes, talking about how USC has quote unquote proved that they belong in the Big Ten. And first off, it's ridiculous to say that when they have only beaten Michigan, they don't have a real road win in the Big Ten. I also just think it gives fire to a team that does not need that motivation.
Yeah, and I think it was the game notes, and another thing that was brought up is just like USC has 11 national championships, Oregon has 0. USC has 8 Heisman. Yeah, sorry.
It's that exact. I mean, we'll talk about more off the field stuff later, but it plays into the whole narrative that USC is not a now team, is a past team of history.
Yeah, and I mean, like we see teams like the Dallas Cowboys and New York Yankees get ridiculed for being that way. And if you're USC, you've done so much good in the present and, in recruiting, and you've done a lot of stuff to try to build your program back to try to win the era, as they say. But it just feels like they're harping a lot on, and I think it's hard in college football because traditions are so valued, right? Like,
yeah,
there's also a difference between honoring tradition and living in the past. And it feels like USC does both. You should only be doing, like, obviously teams like Ohio State, they honor tradition with all their traditions and the stickers and all that on the helmets, but they also win. So it's a little bit harder. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't think USC has proven themselves to be a legitimate member of the Big Ten yet. I think one win over Iowa and Michigan, I guess, if you include that, I don't buy it. Like, it's at home too. They don't have a legit. I mean, I'm sure you agree. They don't have a legit,
the Big Ten. The best road win they have is Nebraska
with one half of Dylan Raiola. So, yeah, I agree.
Not good. But anyways, we'll talk more a little bit about this game. Let's talk a little bit about the Oregon offense versus USC's defense. You mentioned Kennedy Urlacher, and I do think he was great. I think he was one of the lone bright spots. Same with Desmond Stevens. The line play was really disappointing. I think one of the most disappointing things, if not the most disappointing things from this year, has been the defense, has been that defensive, I don't want to say defensive line because they've had their moments, but it's just it's the fact that it is the highest paid coaching staff in college football, one of, I should say, and they can't stop a fly. They couldn't stop anything. So they're still getting out muscled on the offensive line. Oregon was missing offensive linemen too. Oregon was missing two of their two top receivers. They still move the ball at ease. At no point was I like, yeah, USC is definitely going to get a stop there. They got some stops, don't get me wrong, but some of them were fluky. Some of them were drops. Some of them were just not good plays by Oregon. There was the Dante Moore fumble where he just ran into Noah Whittington. I do agree with this. Oregon does suck, but we unfortunately suck more and lost to them.
Dave Portnoy in our
literally.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I was doing the broadcast and I was telling my broadcast partner, this game reminds me a lot of the Illinois game in the first half because USC was allowing the big play and they were missing out on opportunities themselves, but at the same time, they were still in the game because they they were allowing Oregon to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yep.
But once Oregon figured out, hey, we're at home, we're the better team, we have more talent right now. Even without their top two receivers in Decorian Moore and Gary Bryant. I mean, that's crazy to me that without their top two receivers, and I know they're more of a running team. They have three competent running backs in their backfield, but without, I mean, and probably one of the best, if not the best tight ends in the nation, but they were able to just outmuscle USC. It was a game that even Oregon's defensive line, I didn't think was that great. Like we didn't hear much about Bear Alexander this game at all. And
he was fine. Like, I don't know. There's a whole weird hype around Bear Alexander and him just taking this leap at Oregon. And it's just like not true. It's propaganda I'm not falling for because he has been good. He's putting up the exact same stats. Like maybe he's getting more pressure and maybe I'm not watching his tape enough. He's putting up like very similar stats to his sophomore season at USC where he was good. He was all Pac-12 honorable mention, but he's not otherworldly like I think we're being told.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Betcher had a fantastic game. Him alone,
he was great.
Defensively. I mean, he scored a touchdown too.
Yeah, exactly. He was great.
Yeah, but the trick play was cool on USC's end. I'll give him that.
Yeah, Mekhi Lemon threw a dart to Nook Hines. Took Hines, phenomenal catch of the day. I don't know. I just come away. You can talk what you want about USC, and they have made progress from 6-6 to 9-3 and 7-5 the year before. There is very much progress. It's not as much as I think there is, and I really just don't see Lincoln Riley leading them to the promised land.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because you talked about the defensive staff. One of the highest paid. There's literally celebrity, like former NFL coaches, Eric Henderson, Rob Ryan on that staff. Do you think, though, next year, if the defense doesn't fix itself, do you think Danton Lynn is on the hot seat?
100%. Like, 100% he is on the hot seat. Like, they brought him over from UCLA. He had a great defense there. And last year, the defense made so much improvement from the year before. It was astounding. But it has made little to no progression this year. And I think I would argue it's even gotten worse from last year.
Yeah,
I very much think he's on the hot season this season.
I mean, you don't have, and I mean, looking at last year, you don't have a Nate Clifton this year. You don't have a Sam Green, who is having a fantastic season at Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean,
we somehow traded for the worst Kentucky player in Sean Silver. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, and then I mean, injuries too. Jamal Jarrett's out for the year. There's just, I mean, the edges have been good, but the middle has not been great at all.
The middle. I will say, I'm excited to see what Chad Bowden can do in the offseason. I know it's a cop-out, but he got there after the winter portal, and that's when the recruiting really started getting cooking. So I'm excited to see what he'll do in the portal because you need portal assets this offseason because the recruiting class is phenomenal. It's the high schoolers. They're not all going to be win now guys, and especially with the schedule they have next year, they need win now guys.
The only portal guy that's made an impact this year is Bishop Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one else. There's no one else.
I mean, Kennedy Urlacher, but that was one game. Not really.
Yeah. He's on the way for sure. He's on the way.
He'll be good. I think he'll be good. Not yet, but he will be.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and I mean, the true freshmen, some of them have been like obviously Tanoh Hines. But those guys will grow too. So there's stuff to look forward to.
Pretty sneakily been pretty good.
Yeah. He's, I mean, in a cornerback room that's just been so depleted and just mired with issues. I feel like he's been solid. But yeah. Should we talk a little bit about just
the funny off-the-field stuff going on?
The seismic week, I've been calling it to myself, that USC has had. It's been a seismic week for the football team.
Yeah, Casey, you want to explain for some people, because you were there in the press conference, for some who may not be aware.
Yeah, so I was at the press conference, and a reporter asked Lincoln Riley, basically long story short, because it was a long question, what his thoughts were on an Oregon fan at game day having a sign that said extend Lincoln Riley, just basically trying to say the connotation that, opposing fans don't see Lincoln as a threat. Lincoln took massive exception to this comment and to this question rather, and it's been kind of going viral because Lincoln's reaction was very stern. I mean, he was upset.
Riley said it is the worst question it may have been the worst question I've ever been asked, and he should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah, and I mean, after a loss too, Lincoln, if you watch any USC football, Lincoln's not a guy who extends his words a lot after the games because he's upset when they lose, which rightful. I mean, any coach would be, but he took massive exception to this. So you combine that with the game note stuff with Dan Lanning, and it feels like the respect of the program has changed.
Yeah. It's interesting because I don't know. It was a bad question. I mean, we do know the journalist. He graduated from USC 2 years ago. Briefly overlapped with both of us at school. We know him a little bit. I don't know. It wasn't a great question, and I don't know. He's since apologized, and well, kind of, not really, not really to be honest. But it's interesting because it's like, and then USC is just Lincoln Riley's response. Maybe it was a little harsh, but it's like it's interesting to see the dialogue between who thinks it was just a stupid question that journalists should go away versus who thinks Lincoln Riley owes him an apology, which is kind of funny to see.
Yeah, I mean, like we haven't really seen a big, because Lincoln, it feels like, and I think a lot of the reporters at USC practices and games do ask good questions. But I don't know if Lincoln's always asked the toughest questions. And when he is asked tough questions, he doesn't always give the most, elaborate answers. It feels like his relationship with the media is pretty, like, practices are closed. They're dry. It's dry. And we know at Oklahoma, like, there was a lot of instances like this.
Yeah.
Where he would blow up. Kind of.
Here's the thing. I think the way this guy, Adam, who, once again, we know, haven't really talked to him in years, who we knew, the way he asked it was very provocative in a way that it kind of sounded like people don't think you're good at your job. Thoughts? And that's not a good way to go about it, especially because it was such an emotionally charged environment. The way that, and I've told you about this, the way I think about it, at the root of the question, it is like asking about the state of the program and how he feels about it. That was just, the way he phrased it was just really poor, and it was a bad environment to do so. That's why I think it was not a good question.
It's also hard, I'll say too, it's hard to ask a coach after a game the state of the program.
Like I know it's like trying to ask like the hard questions and stuff like that, but it's like I just don't think you're ever gonna get a good response necessarily in an environment like that. Like based off all the experience I've had with that, it's you want to ask the hard questions, but also it's hard to keep that relationship and have people trust you. Like, I don't know what's going to go on with Adam and Trojans Wire at the game on Saturday, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Lincoln is he's very much not a soft-spoken guy, but he's not a guy who says a lot. He's discreet. And, it gives different reactions when different things are said. Lincoln doesn't have to always deal with, and especially having a general manager now, it makes his life a lot easier from a media standpoint too, because, Lincoln's no longer the guy running everything. So, I think that question, a version of that question that was maybe more concise and a little bit more accurate could have been asked to a guy like Chad Bowden, who is actually running this program and not in overseeing the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't really think, I'll be honest, like, I don't really think he needed to apologize, if we're being honest. I mean, like, he asked a question in a bad environment, yeah, but also, like, I
don't know.
Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough spot for both all the parties involved. It's because, I mean, Lincoln didn't look good from a PR standpoint.
Very bad. Yeah. But Casey, let's talk a little bit about UCLA because it's Conquest. It is UCLA hate week, and USC theoretically is going to beat the tar out of the Bruins.
Yeah, I mean UCLA sucks. Let's I'm not saying they are a very bad football team. Nico actually got a little bit banged up that last game against
I
Washington.
was just looking up his injury report. If there's anything new on that,
Might be a game time decision.
Let's see. Yeah, he's been day to day. Let me read through this real quickly.
You want to hear a crazy stat while you look that up?
Yeah, let's hear it.
UCLA has the best red zone offense in the Big Ten and the third best red zone offense in the country.
I mean, they just never get there. How many is it out of?
There you go.
Is it out of? Let me look at it. Sorry, go on.
I mean, they're pretty much like they're the most penalized team in the Big Ten.
They've gotten there 20. It's not even like a ridiculous number, huh?
Yeah, they're the most penalized team in the Big Ten. They're just not a good. I mean, we saw that fake field goal.
That was so funny, dude. That was so funny. It's like it's especially I saw it like with no caption or anything like that. It was the funniest thing I've seen in forever.
Yeah.
Just seeing that terrible attempt.
Yeah, I mean they're just
so good.
They have some playmakers like Mokiawa Timalala. That's a mouthful name to say. But you know, I mean the one thing they have going for them is historically the away team does win in this series.
I mean the past like 5 years, which is ridiculous. This is the year it's got to break because if USC, and let's talk about this because if USC loses to UCLA, which in no way I think they will, they're 21.5-point favorites. In no way I think they will lose to UCLA. If they do, Casey, should Lincoln Riley be fired on the spot?
I mean, we saw what happened to Justin Wilcox, where Cal had a pretty solid season, but they lose to the rival that they should have beat. I mean, Cal was, I think, multiple touchdown favorites over Stanford, and they got blown out by Stanford, and Justin Wilcox got fired. So I think so. I think USC would follow suit. You can't lose to your rival like that when you're favored.
Yeah, no, they should not lose that game at all. And it's honestly, it's ridiculous to talk about them even losing that game. They are by far the better team. USC should finish this season 9-3, and we'll talk about it when they do. But I think it's cut and dry. USC should win this game, should run up the score, beat the life out of the Bruins.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey Matthews has had a good season. Speaking of Cal transfer.
Speaking of Cal, how did you get there?
Justin Wilcox.
Oh, I guess. Okay, yeah.
And I mean, the coaching carousel is crazy. I'm sure you saw Golesh is going to Arkansas. So, you know, just crazy stuff going on. And also, I mean, one thing we didn't talk about is
might not be official. I saw something talking about how that might like end up blowing back, and it's possible that could.
Okay, well,
yeah, go on. Sorry.
I mean, I don't think this means anything at all. But yesterday at practice, someone asked Lincoln Riley, "Will you be coaching at USC next year?" And he said, 100%. Now, granted, he said, "I will not be the coach at LSU." There's that famous clip of him.
Yeah, and then like left to USC like a day later. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever with this recruiting class that, you know, assuming that he beats UCLA, he'll be coaching at USC on September 5th of next year. But at the same time, I think the seat has gotten hot with the losses this year.
Yeah, if they don't perform next year, I think he's gone because the carousel is so crazy. This year, I don't think this is the right year to fire him anyways. I think it's next year where they play a really hard schedule. Look, Casey, I've been pretty adamant about this. I think they win 5 to 6 games and he might get fired. I'm really hoping it's not true, but I've just this is so eerily similar. It's very different, don't get me wrong. This is so very eerily similar to that of the 2022 Texas A&M team, who they were a very fine team always under Jimbo Fisher. Then they bring in the number one recruiting class, incredibly stacked recruits, high school guys, and then they go win like 4 games and he gets fired. It is a little eerily similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think they have going for them next year is the road games outside of Indiana are pretty easy. And the home games are the hard ones because you have Ohio State and Oregon and Washington at home.
Which honestly could work better for them. The fact that those are all at home is great.
Plus Maryland, we didn't include Maryland. But Maryland could be good next year. They could be better.
Still going to be the coach. Like, I mean,
yeah. They also have Fresno State at home, and then Notre Dame home as well. Even though that's In
Maybe.
theory, right? In theory.
Yeah.
But then away you have Indiana, Penn State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, UCLA. Like you should win all those in theory, except for Indiana is the free loss I'll give them because I mean, we don't know who's going to be quarterbacking Indiana next year, but
No.
Signetti teams have been good, so I
Yeah.
assume they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping Penn State hires Terry Smith, so that way it's a lot easier team if they hire their interim. Ooh, that'll be it's a bad decision. Yeah. But yeah, Casey, that's about all I have here. It's kind of a quick show tonight. Hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving, unless you have anything else to add.
Oh, I think that's all good. Let's beat UCLA.